Hello everyone, welcome to the Arsenal Swede Galaxy podcast. I'm your host Alonzo Bonnie Spencer. Thank you guys for joining me today. Um, yeah, we have some awesome news. Victor Eucharist is finally coming to Arsenal. Um, after months and months of speculation, seems like he's finally coming. Unfortunately, it took a little bit longer than expected because, what I gather, Sporting Lisbon did not want to budge on what Arsenal was dealing with. It seems like Sporting Lisbon did not want. They wanted to hold on to the Eucharist as much as they could because um, they value him. Apparently, there was a gentleman's agreement prior to the new, I believe, director in charge of Sporting Lisbon. So we don't know what went on. We can only go on what reports were we can only go on what reports were said. Unfortunately, like I said before, like they wanted to continue put on add-ons on Eucharist's contract. He did not want to. He basically went on strike because of all that was happening. The prior football director had promised him that he could leave, um, but like I said before, like they wanted to let him go. It seems like essentially. Um, so Eucharist broke up with his girlfriend. Um, he did all these things so that he could leave. Apparently, unfortunately, it took longer than expected. I think they were being stubborn on his add-on clauses, his whatever it was. I don't have the information right now in front of me, but today the news broke around 6 o'clock in the morning, my time, when I was going to work, or at least I was already at work. Broke on lunchtime over there in England. Um, and of course, everyone has their own sources. Um, I follow Fabrizio Romano here on my Facebook. I think other people follow um, Hornstein or Ornstein on Twitter. Um, they're both really good sources on transfer news, what have you. But that being said, what we lacked the past 3 years was an out and out striker. We finally have that. Um, he's a natural born goal scorer. Though his time in England, people are going to judge him based on his time with Brighton. But when we read some stats that I have in front of me, and with Eucharist scored his first 2 years at Sporting Lisbon, he scored 29 goals and 10 assists in 2023-24 season. And last year, meaning 2024-25 season, he scored 39 goals and had 7 assists. Before that, his 2 years well, 3 years at Coventry City FC. His best 2 years were his last 2 years at Coventry. He scored his first major year in Coventry was 2021-22 season. He had 17 goals and 5 assists. His goal scoring record year after that, 2022 and 23 season, he scored 21 goals and had 10 assists. So we're getting a not only goal scorer but an assist playmaking center forward as well, striker, center forward, what have you. Um, Now to me, had we had an out and out striker, basically what I mean by that is a striker that scores goals. Um, you've had people like Jesus, Eddie Nketiah, uh, Kai Havertz, Miguel Moreno, um, in the past 3 years, be our strikers up front to lead the line. Um, Gabriel Jesus' first season was his best in the Arsenal kit. He had 11 goals and unfortunately got hurt, missed a lot of time being hurt after the World Cup. So we never really saw the best of him. Um, Eddie Nketiah scored, I believe, 4 goals that year to replace him. Um, and we had two strikers last year as well, with Gabriel Jesus being hurt. Um, we had Kai Havertz signed from Chelsea the season before last. He was brought in initially to replace Xhaka. It didn't work out due to injury. We had to put Havertz leading the line. He had a very productive second half of the season, but didn't score his first goal until the winter time, I believe, against Bournemouth. So we got goals. Then also, well, not really, but we could have scored more goals, especially down the last year of 23-24 season. Year before last, the next year after that, Kai Havertz got hurt. He was honestly having a good year, but he got hurt, and then we had to use Kai Havertz got hurt when he went to Saudi to Dubai to train, and we had to use Miguel Moreno, another left eight technically, to be our own striker, and he had a good return. Scored some goals in the league, scored some goals in Premier League football against Real Madrid. But we went still against PSG. You can make the argument, have you had a striker, a natural born goal scorer, you could probably have won and beaten PSG. But PSG did win the league when they did in fact win Premier League football. So you gotta give that credit to them. Um, but yeah, it seems like all the contenders, all the Premier League contenders, title contenders, all have a striker last year, except for Arsenal. Um, if, if Women Chris does come to Arsenal, it'd be interesting to see what happens with Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz, of course, has gotten better at scoring goals, but Kai Havertz is inconsistent. I believe he's still a big factor in this club going forward. However, when you have a guy like Bucharest who can score goals, you can make the argument he can score goals in every game. With the team we have, you have to say to yourself, well, it's between us and Liverpool again. Now Liverpool have made some good signings as well, but Arsenal have made some good signings also. Um, so um, so far this year, that's including Bucharest, Arsenal has signed Sune Madueke from Chelsea, Kepa, the goalkeeper, with Bucharest, Christian Nørgaard, and Christian Mascara from Villarreal. So obviously, uh, Andreas Berta has signed players that we need. players that will add depth to our team, our football club. He obviously knows what we need. Watching last year from the sidelines, or second half of the year on the sidelines, because he was brought in, I believe, in March, maybe April, to oversee recruitment. He's done a good job so far. I know a lot of people give them crap for signing rivals from Chelsea, players from Chelsea, Kepa and Madueke. However, I think they're going to be very good under Arsenal. Um, us Arsenal fans have been wanting depth for soccer for a long time. It's finally happened now. I think Madueke is a he can be a very good player under Chelsea. If you have an owner like they do, he'll buy everyone in every position plus three, plus three. So they're not going to get any playing time. Chelsea signed some players, and so I think that's the move for Madueke. I actually like depth in cup games, like FA Cup, League Cup games, where Arteta almost has to have a strong squad because he likes depth. That's one of the biggest Miguel Arteta's biggest weakness is that he doesn't know how to use his bench a lot of times. He also doesn't know how to use his academy kids. Um, so hopefully he'll learn that there is quality and talent on the academy side of things. You saw it last year with Miles with Scully. You saw it with Ethan and Nwari. So, they're a big part of the club now, moving forward. A lot of people will rate Miles with Scully. A lot of people will rate Ethan and Nwari. Uh, so it'd be interesting to see how, you know, um, that is used next year. All these players are also locked in long term. Hopefully, Swede and Saka can get locked in long term as well because they both are a major part of this team. Um, I know people are going to say, well, we signed Madueke. Is Saka going to go out or Saka's rumored to leave because you got Madueke now? That's not the case. I think he is brought in for backup. I think he is brought in for rest for Saka. I think he's brought in just in case you have issues with Saka being hurt. Madueke can fill in. Though there's a lot of rumors out there that Trossard and or Martinelli can move on. I know that Arsenal are still in for uh, Eze from Crystal Palace. He's a former academy kid himself. So, yeah, something tells me that Arsenal are not done buying players or getting new players in the transfer window before it closes. But yeah, all in all, I think Arsenal have done a good bit of business to help improve their already good squad. I think Berta wants more depth because of how he sees Arsenal. He doesn't see Arsenal just, you know, um, closing the window for opportunities to win the league. He's buying more players, young players, to hopefully get Arsenal over the line, as they say, to finally win a trophy, at least the Premier League. Um, me and Russ talked last week about is Arteta on the hot seat? And my answer is, if you buy a world-class striker like Ducros, right, you almost have to be on a hot seat if you can't win with this current squad. Um, here's where they bought Havertz, they bought Rice. Rice is still a very good midfielder. He's still very, very world class to me. He's a world class number six. However, Arteta likes using him as a left eight. And to Rice's credit, he has used that position very well. And I think bringing on Zubimendi is a very, very much an upgrade because he Arteta sees Zubimendi as the anchor as a midfield as number 6. So yeah, very excited about having Zubimendi. We also brought in Christian Norgard from Brentford. He was Brentford's captain for a while, so he also is a very, very good backup. Like I mentioned, Berta brought in backup players for the most part. Some of them not. They're starting, as is Mendy, like Icarus. But Berta addresses the depth, like Mascara, who's going to be the backup to Saliba. He sees him as a long-term project as far as being Saliba's deputy on the right side of the back line. It had Ben White uh, deputizing for using Timber. We have Caffiori deputizing for Malcolm Scully. And you have KVR deputizing for um, Gabriel Megaleth. Which in itself, KVR had great. He filled in very, very admirably for Megalith. And so I think it's important that we have depth for both center backs. Ben White can also play center back as well. But I think most fans would rather see Ben White on the right back because him and Saka work well together as far as overlapping goes, crossing goes, and all that business. So all in all, a very, very good transfer window so far. Again, rumors are that Arsenal are not done buying players or getting new players in. I hate the term buying; it sounds so dumb. So I think Berta has kind of picked out who he wants Arsenal to get in as far as depth and a new striker. And we got one today in Victor Eucharist. So all that considered, I think that we're going to start the preseason very nicely. I say that because in the past, I guess the early Arteta days and then into Arsene Wenger's latter years, we tend to buy players very late, and that's kind of hurt the fluidity of the club. It even hurts buying players on deadline day because it takes a long time for the players to get acclimated with the club and the systems, information, and all that business. So yeah, very proud of how uh, they've targeted their players, um, and I think that next year would be a very, very good chance we could start the season. Well, I take that back. That when we saw the schedule and the current squad we had, there are a lot of answers on, first of all, why the schedule makers were so harsh on Arsenal, starting the season away to Manchester United, Leeds coming to visit Arsenal, then we're back to playing Liverpool at Anfield. Um, and we would play Chelsea, Newcastle as well, then that stretch of games, and also Manchester City. Um, but looking at the bright side of things, the, the moves that Arsenal has made have made me believe that we could start the season on a good note, despite Arsenal starting the year brutally. But hey, this is Premier League. You gotta play with the big boys sometimes to get your point across, right? So, very excited about today's news. Again, the reports that were suggested that Manchester United could hijack the move for today Arsenal prevailed into making the move to get Icarus as early as possible because let's not forget that the whole club took the plane. I believe they took it off. The plane took off on Friday or Saturday to Singapore for Arsenal's tour of Asia. So, um, us fans were hoping that Bucharest would be with them, with the players on the flight to Singapore. However, Mascara left, um, I believe it was today or yesterday to Singapore. So he'll meet up with them. I think Madueke is taking a short break because Chelsea were at the Club World Cup final. So I think Arteta said just take a seat, pal, and he'll rejoin the club. I'm sure the next week or two. As far as Lucas goes, I believe he still has to take his medical, which I hope he passes. And I'm sure he'll join up with the team maybe next week or maybe when Arsenal come back from their tour, he'll come back to England or they'll come back to England with him ready to go. Play games here before the season starts. Right. So yeah, that was just run down on today's business. Um, so we're looking forward to seeing how the squad shakes up during the tour. Um, I think also I think Arsenal are looking to sell some players. Also, uh, there are a group of players that Arsenal need to cut ties with. One of the players is Zinchenko. I've heard Reece Nelson. I've heard some of the Conga. Um, because he's back up, being back up. So yeah, unfortunately, I have let people go because of the fact that they no longer fit our future. Um, so I believe that they'll probably do that when they come back from their tour, just in case anyone gets hurt. But yeah, I think that Zinchenko has worn out his welcome. His first year was his first year with him and Diego Jesus. They did good as far as building the morale around the Emirates, getting Arsenal where they should be. But unfortunately, uh, Gabriel Jesus is hurt. I don't see him making quite the impact like we all thought he would. He's always been the one that always gets hurt when we need him the most. Um, but yeah, I think the big outgoings. Unfortunately, with some of the Conga, uh, there really is no future with him at Arsenal. I think that him coming to Arsenal when he did, there was a lot of hype around him. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. So Reece Nelson, unfortunately, with his injuries, he didn't really catch on like we all anticipated that we all thought he would. Um, there are rumors that he could be part of the deal to bring SA to Arsenal. That remains to be seen. But yeah, looking forward to seeing how who gets bought, who gets sold from his current squad. The outgoings, because we're going to need to balance the books eventually. Um, but yeah, comparison to goats for their own benefit as well, because often you kind of hold on to them to see if they have any future at Arsenal. So Arteta will loan them out and to be forgotten, and then when it comes to them wanting to move on, uh, they become hard to sell because they're either hurt or they're not getting playing time at the club we loaned them to, or just the Arsenal in general. Um, but I think that looking at things, we all know that Kai Havertz can score, obviously. So I'm of the notion that Havertz will start the season as the starting striker to allow Bucharest to ease himself in the club, and eventually Bucharest will start. Just like you would anyone else who's going to start a new league, a new Premier League, new competitive league. I know that the disparity between the Portuguese league and Premier League are two different leagues, but I think that Arsenal are slowly going to play him in the starting 11. Um, and I think when Jesus comes back, he'll be the third striker on his team. And of course, you see last year, Mikel Moreno was used as a makeshift striker. So if any, he'll be the emergency backup. If all that makes sense. So, yeah, really looking forward to how this. I'm just excited to see how this team shapes up. Looking forward to them playing Manchester United. Of course, we have a game tomorrow against AC Milan. Unfortunately, that'd be too early for me to watch. So, um, yeah, I think a lot of people get excited about watching the preseason matches because it's a sign that the season is near. And yeah, um, we're not going to talk about wrestling today because I have on day at work, so I'm kind of tired. But yeah, just give you guys a rundown on what happened today. We signed Eucharist. For a reported 63.5 million euros. That's not including add-ons because at this point it's just too confusing to go over. But most importantly, he signed to Arsenal. I believe it's on a 5-year deal. Uh, but yeah, I just excited to see how he plays with Saka, with Ugar, like Rice. But I believe that we're going to get a starting left winger next year because I cannot say if we're going to bring in SA or not, or if Martinelli or Trossard are going to stay. The rumors now that would suggest that Martinelli, our team in Saudi are looking to buy Martinelli. I've heard that Trossard could there could be a swap deal with Trossard for SA. Whatever happens, I know that Berta and Arteta will make sure we're gonna didn't get a good player, whoever that may be. Um, anyway, I just want to just come on just to say what happened today and what the current signings we've made so far. Um, anyway, I guess I'll leave it at that. So thanks for joining for those who came on today, and see you guys on the next one. Bye.